Hello everyone, my name is Ole William Ingelsson and I'm the Chief Information Security Officer for the Visma Group. Here today I have the pleasure of talking a bit about how we every day in the Visma Group is targeted with ransomware from cybercriminals and how we on an everyday basis fight this. And I'm going to tell a bit more about a case where the cybercriminals actually got a bit further than we really would like them to get. But before I start, I would like to thank you all for participating here in this security conference. I'm glad that so many are participating, and I hope that you have found it interesting. All the other speakers as well. It has been a pleasure. So before I start, I would just like to talk a bit about or introduce myself. I'm new in this role in the Visma Group. I joined the Visma family in 2019 as Chief Information Security Officer, and then in August here this year I took over the role for the entire Visma Group. I have a background as a developer, and I have more than 20 years of experience. Before joining Visma, I worked as a security consultant, where I've been working as a pen tester. I've been working with application security, and for a short time I also worked with the IT audits. But yeah, we are going to talk about ransomware and case where Visma was targeted, and yeah, the cyber criminals had a bit more success than we really wanted. We were hit or targeted with the Rurik ransomware that almost hit us. There's a Romanian saying that says, "I heard the bullet passing by my ear," and in this case the Rurik ransomware was a bullet, and yeah, the ear was all of us, all of Visma, all our systems. But yeah, luckily they didn't succeed in the way that they wanted. So yeah, that's what we are going to talk a bit about. First, I want to introduce you to the bad guys. Who are we talking about here? It's the hackers, the scammers, or the cyber criminals that trying to gain access to our system. They are really good at what they are doing, and they are continuously improving, getting even better. Now they are targeting large corporations with ransomware, and yeah, they are also after us. And for those of you, perhaps there's not that many, but if some of you don't know what ransomware is, I can very quickly explain. It's basically software that the hackers or criminals install or try to get you to install, that will give them access over your system, and very often the software will begin to encrypt your system, your computer, and the data on your computer, and then you need a code in order to decrypt your data and get access to the system again. And in order to get that code, you need to pay a ransom, basically, to the criminals. And yeah, they are targeting larger and larger corporations. It's really been an industry that has evolved, and as you can see here, this is a graphical representation of a statistic that was published by the Finnish cybersecurity company F-Secure in in 2017 that shows how the evolution of ransomware has increased or grown exponentially. You can see here you saw the first ransomware here in 2010, and gradually there's been added more and more ransomware families. You can see different types of ransomware, and here you can see at the end of the chart here we have a large range of different ransomware families that are available for the criminals to do their work. And yeah, there is a cost of ransomware. It's not just the cost of the ransom that needs to be paid to the criminals. It is also the cost of enforced downtime, meaning the time that your system is down, you can't access the system, or your customers can't access the system. There's also a cost in loss of reputation. There can be liabilities. In some cases, we see collateral damage. Perhaps it's not the case here that much in the case here with Visma, but there is examples where ransomware has been deployed in hospitals, and here it has led to death. So there could be collateral damage, and there can also be data loss. And in these GDPR days, we know that can also have a cost if you lose personal data. And yeah, we are talking about a lot of money. Here are some of the cases for the past few years. To begin with, we have the Maersk attack, or the Maersk incident. Maersk, who is the world's largest shipping company, was hit in August 2017 by a ransomware attack. In this case, it was from a state-sponsored actor. They didn't pay any ransom here, but the ransomware eliminated really their infrastructure, and they needed to rebuild their infrastructure, and it is estimated that the cost of that was around or between 200 to 300 million US dollar. Then we have another case, Norsk Hydro, that also was hit by ransomware, and yeah, took a long time to recover, and so far it has been estimated that cost them around 45 million British pound. An example here from this summer was Garmin. Garmin was also hit by ransomware. If some of you have a Garmin watch monitoring when you run or when you bike or swim or do other types of activities, there was around 5 to 7 days, I think, where you were not able to upload your data to the Garmin system. And that was because they were hit by ransomware. They haven't publicly announced that they paid ransom, but it is expected that they actually paid a ransom of around 10 million US dollar in order to get access or gain control over their system again. But it's not always just attackers that's coming from outside that will hit you with ransomware. The latest example here is Tesla. In this case, it was an employee that was approached by a criminal and offered 1 million US dollar to install ransomware on the company's corporate network. Luckily for Tesla, Instead of doing so, the employee reported this to Tesla and to the authorities, and then the criminal was caught. But it doesn't always go that way. So, in our example, we have also been tried to be hit by ransomware, and in this case, in the end of September, we saw an increase in phishing emails, saw many waves of phishing emails that was directed to our employee, and we could see that each phishing email was different. It used different malware binaries, and these binaries were not detected by our antivirus solution Defender. Usually the waves, they started in the afternoon after 5 o'clock, and finished just around 1 in the morning. And we actually also saw an increase in the phishing waves and emails being sent out on Friday afternoon. So if the attackers would be successful there, then they would have most of the weekend to do their work before people returned to work there. Luckily for us, and in this case it also happened here in Friday afternoon, we have a cyber response team monitoring the traffic and monitoring the activity in the network. So we were able to start working and mitigating the attack in the weekends. But yeah, that's typically what the cyber criminals do here in Friday afternoon, sending out their phishing emails. And yeah, the emails, they looked okay, and I will show you examples of these emails later on. But also when you investigate it, you could see that sender policy frameworks was applied, and the emails came from real domains. This is 2 examples of the emails that was received by the Visma employees. They used information here about Visma, and they also used here, you can see Google Drive. As you know, Visma is or using G Suite, and therefore it's very often that we send files to each other using Google Drive. So it didn't really look that odd that an email included and a link to Google Drive in this case here. Of course, there's no Tiller Goodman or Lily Brown in this case, but it's not always that you know, especially in such a large company as Visma, that you know all the people, of course. And in this case, we had an employee who clicked on a link here in the email and downloaded the bait, and in the end ended up installing this on his or her computer. So this was really what started the attack, or enabled the attackers to go even further in. And really they followed the recipe, as you can see here, for the attack. Sent out phishing emails to deliver the malware to the Visma users, and they succeeded in getting one of the employees to click on the link, download and install the software. In this case here, it was the print document exec that would load the malware into the laptop, and then from there they also downloaded Cobalt Strike, a tool used to move laterally in the within the organization, within the network. So that was what they were able to do here. In this case, the employee was on VPN, even though working from home, was on the Visma network, and that enables the attackers to gain access to our network. And yeah, then they moved laterally using PowerShell and got access to some of the assets, and actually ended up getting access to one of our domain controllers, and tried to work on the domain controller. What we found out was that, as I started saying, they were very good, and yeah, this ransomware industry is big business. We could see also that because they work like a business, they work like a software company, just like we work. They are utilizing public cloud infrastructure, public cloud providers. They used AWS in this example, but they had also access to other hacked servers from where they could deploy their command and control centers and really control the attack. We saw that the malware was signed with stolen or anonymously bought certificates, and therefore the malware wasn't recognized or stopped by our antivirus solution. We could also see that they recompiled the code very often, and thereby making sure that the antivirus software were not able to recognize the software itself. And they deployed Cobalt Strike to move around in the organization laterally, and Cobalt Strike mostly point and click enable them to get access to some of the systems. They also used DNS over HTTPS to hide the malicious traffic and move around. We could see when we started doing forensic. And they signed the code. You're able to get malware or basically software in general signed by anonymous code signing signatures, and we could see that this was something that they did, as well as use some certificates that they had previously stolen other places. But we also are agile in Visma, and so we could see that something was happening. We could see that we were attacked, and here we have 41 servers that were attacking us. We gathered threat intelligence based on their attack patterns. We could see the infrastructure. We were in dialogue with the authorities to close down the certificates or invalidate the certificates that was used. We discovered parts of their infrastructure and thereby identifying Amazon and other servers that was used, and we of course informed about this. We blocked their IP addresses, and we quarantined emails that included the malware, because the attackers, they kept sending phishing emails, and actually at one point they sent emails to all the Visma employees, 12,000 people. Luckily, we were able to quarantine these emails also in Gmail. And then we deployed endpoint detection and response software. We had already deployed this software, Sentinel-1 software, at some endpoints, but then we ensured that at all key infrastructure assets, this solution was deployed as well. And this actually enabled us to be sure that they didn't succeed in installing the actual ransomware. So they didn't get to installing the ransomware, but we could see that they tried to install this Rurik ransomware software. So this is why we say that the disaster was averted, because if they had been successful in installing the ransomware at our domain controllers, this could really have hit us big time. But yeah, what have we learned? And I think perhaps it's obvious that being proactive really helps, and we have also been proactive and acting proactive here. In this case, there's still room for improvement. There always is. So some of the things that we learned here is that we can do even more awareness and communication. We actually had identified one day before the attack happened that there was a rise in this distribution of the BureLoader malware, that we could see that it was sent to Visma employees, and this was posted on our intranet on Space. But of course, we could have done even more. We could also have sent out warnings to all employees. There's of course not everybody who goes in and reads what is on Space. So there is room for improvement here. We have also learned that we need to speed up the deployment of the Sentinel-1 EDR software to all endpoints, and we are currently in the process of that right now. We want to be sure, or we want to cover the entire Visma infrastructure, not just laptops or workstations or Active Directories. We also want to deploy this to production servers to ensure that we have that covered also. Of course, we also need to take a look at our network infrastructure, the structure of our network. We could see that the hackers, it has been too easy for them to move around in the Visma network. So here we are also going to work on implementing a better network structure. We are looking towards a zero trust strategy. I know that perhaps zero trust has become a bit of a buzzword these days, but basically it is about tightening security and making sure that there is a perimeter around each of our assets and controlling really what access should be granted to all these assets individually. So instead of having a firewall and a network, and once you have been able to pass the firewall, then you have access to pretty much everything within that network, we need to create smaller networks we need to be sure that we have policies in place that explains what you should have access to if you are, as for an example, on a Visma managed device. If you are working from your private laptop, there can be other assets or other rules that you can access or that you can't access, really. So we are going to work on Zero Trust to ensure to have a tighter security and really improve the security within the organization. So these are just some of the things that we are working on. We are, of course, making sure that our monitoring and analysis team that are monitoring the network and analyzing what's happening also have the proper resources. We are working on ensuring that Darktrace as our monitoring tool is deployed to all parts of the Visma organization. If there isn't already an intrusion detection system in place there. So we are doing a lot of things to mitigate these type of attacks. But I think perhaps we cannot emphasize enough that awareness is really key, because the criminals always get smarter, find new techniques to get access to the system. So therefore we need to be aware, we need to know what's happening, and cybersecurity is a responsibility for all of us. So that's why we are so focused also on the awareness part. So this was a short talk about ransomware and how we are met by ransomware attacks every day, and how we have so far been able to mitigate these attacks. If there are any questions, I will of course be more than willing to answer those later on. But for now, thank you.